Welcome to Starting a Business Simplified, Navigating the Shift, a podcast for those of you looking to transition from a medical career to starting an online business. I will be sharing how to get started, success stories, and more. If you are looking to make the move from medicine to online, but don't know where to start, this is the podcast for you. I'm Suzy Rains, your host, and I look forward to helping you simplify starting a business. Welcome back to Starting a Business Simplified. In this episode, we're going to be talking about pricing and why it's important to consider the type of client being served when determining your prices. Pricing can be tricky, and especially when you're starting out. I did an episode specifically on how to set your pricing earlier this year, so you can check out that episode for the basics. In this episode, I'm going to be going into more detail about why it's important to consider the type of client that you'll be serving when you are setting your pricing. So, first of all, you want to ask some specific questions. Who are you selling to? And it makes a big difference when it comes to what are their needs and how do they perceive the value. I'm going to use my business as an example. I work with new entrepreneurs that are just starting out. They have smaller budgets. They're looking at the cost of things and evaluating cost effectiveness. What are they getting for their money? And they're really specific on making sure that the money they spend, they get the most value from. Knowing that, I can price my services in a way that meets that criteria. So thinking about them and saying, when I was a new business owner and I had a small budget, how much would I pay for a service that would help me build my business step by step and create a roadmap of how it is to get started? And so thinking through that question, I'm able to price my services in a way that meets their need. So what exactly are their needs? They need information, they need guidance, they need accountability, and they need structure. And those are things that I provide with my services. And also, my services are completely tax deductible. When you start a business, all of your startup costs, there's an amount that the IRS in the United States allows you to use as a write-off. My services fall into that category. So not only are they paying for my services, but they're also being able to write that off on their taxes because I'm helping them in the startup phase of their business. So taking that into consideration when I set my prices. The other thing that I take into consideration is people that come to me may or may not actually start their business. They may be considering starting a business and they don't know anything about it, and they're coming to me to get information and to really map out to see if it's something they want to do. They're going to learn throughout the process of working with me exactly what is the business they want to start, how much is it going to cost them, what do they have to do, what does it require, time commitment, money commitment, and exactly what are they selling. Those are all things that get answered when they work with me, and it gives them an opportunity to really make the solid decision if they are ready to move forward and actually start their business. That's what a business plan is for. It walks you through answering all the questions that you have of, is this a viable business idea? Can I go ahead and sell this? Who am I selling it to? How much am I selling it for? And is this something I really want to do? Once you have the answer to those questions, you can say yes or no, whether you want to move forward and actually do the business that you laid out. So since people are coming to me with that thought process and they're not really sure if they're going to start a business, I price my services lower because they may or may not start their business. I'm not going to have this huge price out there for something that they may not even do. I just don't feel that that's a good idea. I think it's good to pay for somebody's services, how they're going to help you, and what value you're going to get out of it. And that's something that you want to consider when you think about your services as well. What is the value that they're going to get out of it? And are you meeting their needs? And does it fit for the type of client that they are? So when you're thinking about pricing, you can align your potential clients in certain criteria. And if they're budget conscious, then you're going to be thinking about that when you price. If you're selling to a high-end client, someone that is six figures or higher, then you're going to take that into consideration because they are a type of client that you're selling to. They can afford to spend more, and the value that they get is going to be different than it is for somebody that is more budget conscious. So those are all things that you want to be thinking about when you're setting your pricing. And your pricing is never completely set forever. You can start at the price that fits all of these questions: who you're selling to, what are their needs and their perceived value. And over time, you can change your pricing. Maybe you're going to offer more. Maybe you're going to have an add-on service that you want to do. And that's the other thing. Your services can always adjust too, the offer that you have out there. And maybe you do add-on services. So they pay one price for something, but if they want additional value, they can just pay a little bit more and get something added on later. So there's all the different ways that you can structure your business in the pricing that you set in a way that fits the people that you're selling to. So I hope this was helpful and it gave you a little bit of thought-provoking questions to really think about when you're setting up your pricing or when you're thinking about setting up pricing, and really thinking about that ideal client. Who is it that's going to come to you and what are they looking for? If you have any questions or you want to discuss this further, I'm open to having a call with you. You can always set up a call with me with the link in the show notes. I have an online course that I do, and pricing is in that in the lessons for how to set up your pricing. And that's a great way. It walks you through all the steps of what you need to do when it comes to pricing. That link is in the show notes as well. And I'm always open for conversations around business because it's what I love. That's why I have this podcast, and that's why you're listening today, is you have an interest in starting a business, but it needs to be simplified. So as always, keep it simple. Thanks for listening to this episode of Starting a Business Simplified, Navigating the Shift. If you enjoyed this episode, then hit the subscribe or follow button on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for you, so be sure to reach out and let me know what you thought about this episode. If you're not sure how to get started with your business, download a copy of the Starting a Business Simplified guide. Click on the link in the show notes for your copy.